Speak to someone on the front line of this crisis then. Richard Heikel is the chairman of the Heikel Hospital in Lebanon, plus a board member at a syndicate of hospitals there. And he joins us now from Beirut. And I just want you to describe the state of your hospital right now.
Hi, Becky. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, we're having lots of problems in finding medical supplies and drugs, as was stated in your report. The biggest problem is to be able to find the fresh funds in order to get them. And sadly, the political establishment has not made any clear decisions. So some of the money is being used from the people's deposits at the banks to supposedly subsidize the medical supplies and the medications. And that's creating a very big problem as far as able to source what's needed in order to provide good medical service. And then the second thing is that we're suffering from the brain drain, as you clearly stated.
How have your doctors and nurses coped? I mean, there have been 3 big disasters in Lebanon in just the recent history, and I call it history, it's just a year or less. The port blast, the coronavirus pandemic, and this spiral of the economy, this economic downfall. All of this is clearly playing into the destruction of this health system. You say you are absolutely witnessing this brain drain. How are those who are staying coping?
So most of the people that we're losing are the young generation, right? So the problem is going to be probably more on the medium and long term to find replacements, because all the fresh graduates are going to grab the opportunity to go work elsewhere. And the COVID pandemic is a worldwide pandemic that has made the Lebanese quality of medical care providers, from nurses to doctors, highly in demand in all the different countries in the Gulf and in Europe. So sadly, the doctors that are young are trying to go and forge a future for themselves abroad because, once again, the political establishment provides no ray of hope. There's no plan that has been put in place. There's no accountability that's been done to the explosion that happened. Nobody's been held accountable for one of the biggest Ponzi schemes that has happened in recent history. Nobody has even put a plan forward on how to restructure and rebuild and provide hope. The Lebanese are an extremely resilient people. That sometimes plays to an advantage and sometimes plays to a disadvantage. And the disadvantage today is that most of them are finding innovative ways of migrating and leaving the country. And that's creating a huge brain drain in the country. And sadly, once again, the political establishment, these feudal warlords that use, clientelist methods of non-transparency, no governance, provide no hope. So people are looking for their futures elsewhere. However, we still do have the elder generation that's here and that's, very well established, very high quality, that's still available. So we're churning, we're struggling to provide proper medical care. And basically,
Which you use the word resilient, and the Lebanese are resilient people, and I have to say, and this will ring true with you, I know, that the amount of people I've spoken to who are Lebanese who say I'm fed up of being called resilient. It's just like we need things to change. Lebanon was once dubbed the hospital of the Arab world. Now, as you rightly point out, the best and brightest, the youngsters picking up and leaving. What's the impact of this brain drain going to be, not just on the medical system, but on the entire country?
Basically, all the qualified people are going to leave. And the reason why we haven't seen a mass exodus is because of the COVID pandemic that's worldwide. So many people are not able to immigrate to countries where they have relatives, such as Canada or Australia. Even, Canadians and Australians have trouble getting to Canada and Australia at the moment with the visa requirements and the pandemic restrictions, the COVID restrictions due to the pandemic. So once that frees up, once the world is vaccinated, I imagine the brain drain will be much more severe than what we see today. And sadly, that's going to cause, but I think that the effect is severe, but it's not as bad as the financial and economic situation that's in the country as well. And we have to also remember that we're also carrying about 1.5 million refugees from neighboring countries that are also dependent on the system that's dysfunctional, that's falling apart, that's decrepit, that's corrupt. And it's a sad story. It's a sad chapter in our history that we're writing. However, because we are resilient and we're sick and tired of thinking of ourselves as resilient, we live in an area that's, very volatile. So we've learned to be resilient in order to survive. Out of the ashes comes the phoenix. And in Lebanon, we always were considered to be phoenix of the Arab world. So hopefully some sort of leadership will come out of all this chaos and provide hope. And Lebanon, is very rich with its diaspora. It's very rich with its the brains that we have, and hopefully we can build a beautiful future. But we need to get through this and provide or find proper leadership, which we lack.
Absolutely, Richard. If we had to end on a moment of hope, let's hope that leadership eventually emerges out of the ashes of what is Lebanon at present. As you rightly point out, this is a country that has come back in the past, and I'm sure will come back, but it needs an awful lot of help, and that help needs to start inside the country. Thank you, sir.